A Revenant is one who has returned from the dead. So, is Eve Online ready to bloom into a new life with this expansion? Or is Eve still dead, as it always has been? In this video, we're going to be going over all the changes that you need to know about for this new Revenant expansion. First, we're going to be talking about the most important new toys, which is, of course, the new Deathless ships and their breacher pods. Then, we're going to be moving on to the brand new Mercenary dens. After that, we'll be taking a look at the updates coming both to Skinner and Corporation projects. And finally, we're going to be tackling all the extra miscellaneous bits that don't fit nicely into the above categories. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump right in and start talking about these Deathless ships. There are two new Deathless ships. That is going to be the Tholos, which is the destroyer, and the Cenotaph, which is a battle cruiser. These ships are going to be solo/small ganger/snowflakers wet dream. They are short-range brawlers that can cloak and have web resistances on top of it. They're an active shield tank because they have a bonus for it, and use 3 different weapon systems: projectiles, missiles, and a brand new weapon called a breacher pod. And with these 3 weapon systems, they come with a big boatload of DPS and should generally be able to take on ships both of a smaller class and higher class than themselves. They're going to be hard ships to fly well, but when done effectively, they're going to really be a force to be reckoned with. Let's go ahead and talk about these breacher pods. What are they? They're a new weapon system that can only be put onto the Deathless ships. There is 5 new skills, which will make them better. I really hate how CCP is just adding far too many skills to any new thing that they put into the game. Look at the Skinner system, look at these new Deathless pod skills. CC, please. It's really frustrating. I know why you're doing it. Cough, cough, so people can inject. And it's just really annoying. These breacher pods are going to be doing damage over time for 75 seconds at max skills or 50 at minimum skills. And you can only have 1 instance of them on you at a time. If you're going to be hit with multiple, it works in a sort of interesting way. If you're familiar with command burst, it's the same way, but if you're not, I will do my best to explain it. The first one goes on, and then if a second one that is stronger goes on, the second stronger one will apply. If you have the stronger one on first, and then you hit it with a weaker one, the stronger one will do its full duration, and then the weaker one will do its remaining duration after that. So say they have 60 seconds each, right? You do the first one, you let it sit there for 60 seconds, it's a stronger one, you hit it with the second one, and then after 30 more seconds, the first one will end, and you will have 30 seconds remaining on your weaker version one until, the stronger one hits it again, and then the stronger one takes over. However, while one ship can only have one of these at a time, you can put these on multiple different ships. So they do have a decently long reload time, but you can go ahead and put one on one, target another ship, put one on another, and then put one on another. And these things do a lot of damage, and their damage is weird, and we'll talk about it in a second. You can end the dot early by leaving the system or docking up. However, if you jump out of your ship will still be taking damage because the damage is on the ship, and so you probably don't want to leave your ship. Which means you can die in warp, for example. If you are trying to get away from a fight, you have one of these dots on you, and you don't make it back to station in time, it's very realistic that you will die still. When you fire these things, your target's sig radius and traversal and speed doesn't matter at all. It's just point and click. The only thing that matters is that these are physical objects, much like missiles, and they do have speed with them. So if you are moving faster than the breacher pod is moving, think like interceptors, then it is possible that you can just run away from them. They're also very close range, with the Tholos, the small version, being 4,000 meters. So these are brawlers. You're gonna be up in people's faces if you want to get these breacher pods on them. All right, the damage. It's weird. It doesn't care about resistances. All it cares about is the ship's raw HP. So it can be doing damage even if a Rorqual panics. It can be doing the same amount of damage if someone uses an assault damage control. And the way it calculates this damage is based on the raw HP of the ship. So you take it, and it has a max damage that it can do. So for instance, the Destroyer, its max DPS is 200. So if a ship has 20,000 raw HP, then it's going to be doing 200. If it has above 20,000, it will still do max 200. So 200 is your cap. If it has below 20,000 HP, then it is going to be doing 1% of the damage at max skills of the target's damage. So the breacher pod is really good at punching up, and your regular missile systems and projectile systems are going to be good at punching down. So you kind of have to like choose what you want to do. Well, you want to do kind of all of it, but you have both of these like different things that makes this a very flexible, very powerful, very strong ship. And the way the breacher pod works means that it won't obliterate small ships, but it will also not obliterate very large ships. So I'm going to try and make a chart, and hopefully it will be in the description below, of a spreadsheet of a list of every ship's base raw HP. And so you can kind of like figure out like a sweet spot of what you want to kill. If not, just kind of look up some stuff. If I don't get around to it, look up some stuff on your own. But basically, the Destroyer is going to be looking at like battle cruisers is where it's going to be doing most effective of its damage. Maybe like some battleships. And then the Cenotaph, which is the battle cruiser version, is going to be looking pretty much at like really tanky battleships doing its max DPS, which is 1,000 for instance. And like the way that you calculate these like actual DPS, paper DPS, is really weird because it doesn't take into effect so like it's doing like 1,000 DPS, but then you would want to like take into account resistances. So like if you have a ship with 50% resistances across the board, and this does 1,000 DPS, and your ship has 100,000 EHP, so it is actually doing 1,000 DPS, then it's on paper, like on all the other DPS numbers, it's actually doing 2,000. So they do a lot of damage. All right, hopefully that's a good enough explanation of these things. And once you play with it for a little bit, you start to understand how it actually works, and it gets less complicated. So now the question is, how do you actually get these things? There are two similar but slightly different ways of obtaining all of these new Deathless ships and the breacher pods and the ammo. All of it is the same thing. You go to Zarzak, and there are now two places that you can turn in stuff for these rewards. One of the places takes ativums, which are found in relic sites across New Eden, and the other takes encrypted infomorphs. What are encrypted infomorphs? We'll talk about it later, hint, hint. But you can go ahead and trade these for the blueprints. For some reason, you're buying crates. I opened up a number of these crates, and it looks like you always get just single run copies or 10 runs for the ammo. Just understand that. And then the prices for these, I'm going to assume something is going to happen that I don't know about, because right now the prices are insane. From what Sissy has and what the current like real market value of ativums are, you're looking at billions, like 3 billion for one of the destroyers, which is completely unrealistic. So I expect something to change, but just keep in mind that right now it's ludicrously high. We'll see what happens. Also, when you get the blueprints, they are actually very easy to make. One might say too easy. Another complaint that I have is that so all of the other faction ships take this new item called a net resonator. They added it to the game fairly recently, but the Deathless ships don't, which is really stupid. I wish there was some more uniformity. I feel like this is just a complete oversight, but understand that you don't need a net resonator, even though you think you might. So the build for the industry, the building portion of them is like some minerals and some very easy PI. They're very easy to build. The main cost is actually getting the blueprint. And also, I forgot to mention, but hopefully you see, you also can trade the addivums and the encrypted infomorphs for the new skill books. This is where all the new stuff is coming from. It's in Zarzak. You go to the shrouded structure, and you'll be able to use these buildings to purchase everything for what they're worth. All right, and now let's talk about the encrypted infomorphs. How do you get them? Lo and behold, it's the mercenary dens. These structures, this whole expansion, CCP, what is going on? Mercenary dens. Hook into skyhooks. These things are structures for individuals. They are more akin to like mobile depots than anything else. So you take one of these in your ship, you go to a skyhook on a temperate planet, and you place it down as an individual. You can have another skill for these because there has to be a skill for everything. And you can place a total up to 5 on one character. And when you place it, it's going to generate these encrypted infomorphs every hour, which, as we talked about before, can be used to purchase Deathless items. You can put these on your skyhooks. You could put these on enemy skyhooks. You can put them wherever you think you can defend them. If they get attacked, they have a 24-hour reinforcement timer with a 6-hour jitter. So that means it could be anywhere from 18 to 30 hours of when it gets attacked to when you have to defend it again. If someone attacks it and then they kill it, there is a 50% chance to drop the remaining infomorphs in it, and you also can't pick up any infomorphs when it is being reinforced. And then a second part of these mercenary dens is going to be coming on November 26th, which is going to have Mercenary Tactical Operations, or MTOs for short. These things are going to occasionally give their owners opportunities to run MTOs, which are similar to existing PvE content, such as missions and escalations, and they're going to be aimed for a solo player in a cruiser to successfully complete. So if you have these, you should be able to, take your good old trusty Gila and be able to complete these MTOs. And what does completing these MTOs do for you? I'm so glad you asked. They're going to give you rewards / not detriments. What happens is that you are going to decrease the level of anarchy associated with these mercenary dens. And we'll just talk about anarchy now. There is a level called anarchy, and if anarchy gets too high, the production of the skyhook goes down. So it is possible, if people are being not observant, for you to put a mercenary den on an enemy or a neutral skyhook and then have the owner not notice because everything is working as it should be, totally normal. But then when anarchy gets too high, their production goes lower and some stuff goes wrong, and then they notice and they start freaking out. So if you're trying to be covert about it, you can keep your anarchy low and they'll never know, right? That's the idea. So you do these missions, you keep the anarchy low, and you also increase the development. So development is another track, and it generates over time. So the longer you have the missionary den, the more natural development it gets, but you can also get a bump from doing these missions. And the level of development dictates how many encrypted infomorphs per hour you're raking in from this thing. And that's pretty much it for these mercenary dens. How are they going to be used? That's a great question. Are you going to rent from your corporation or alliance? Does every player want to have one of these? Is there a new play style? I hope so, where you can start like nomading in some nullsec area, bring your like little orca, keep it cloaked up in a safe spot, and just kind of like manage your mercenary dens and defend your mercenary dens. Is this a content driver? Can I put a mercenary den, have someone attack it, and then like prep a fleet to go defend it? We'll see. Very strange. I don't know how they're going to play out. I don't know how useful they're going to be. We'll just have to see. All right, moving right along to the Skinner updates. It's finally happening. Woo! You can make targeted skin listings to people from your corp or not corp or alliance or anything else, and CCP doesn't take its stupid ass Plex fee from the stupid market that they made. If you saw my previous expansion video where they released Skinner, you know my feelings about it. Skinner fucking sucked. They've made some improvements throughout the months, and they are now, with this expansion, putting it in a place that it should have initially came out into. I'm still upset about CCP, about their stupid fucking money grab with the original Skinner, because it was already effective, and now that they have taken away enough of the initial adopters' money, they are going to make it into something that is reasonable. So, hooray! At least we get something that is now reasonable and it doesn't stay stupid forever. First and foremost, it's much easier to get people skins that, like your friends, your fleet, things like that. You will need to spend Evermarks. This isn't a bad thing. This is how it should have initially been. We were promised that the Skinner system was going to use Evermarks. We have a reason to use Evermarks now. It's with the Skinner. So if you send a skin directly to someone or your corp, they're going to have to use some Evermarks in order to retrieve it, as well as if you want to charge them anything, you can as well. They also fleshed out the UI just to make everything easier and better, and you can actually find what you're looking for, just simpler, easier. It's what it should have been at the start. Also, here's a cool thing. You can now add a second pattern slot for even cooler looking skins. So there is obviously the more creative freedom that you give people, that opens up doors for inappropriateness. So it I understand that it's a risky subject to add even a second pattern slot. Third, we'll probably never get because I don't know, that's just too much freedom. But we get a cool new second pattern slot and we get really cool blending options as well. So this opens a lot of creative freedom. We'll see where it goes from here. There's a lot of new patterns, over 40 in this new expansion. So we're getting like fleshed out. We're getting like a good bounty of patterns to use. We're getting a good bounty of colors to use. The Skinner system is now, I'm going to say, where it should have been to start. And it is a really cool feature. It is priced appropriately, and we're here, baby. It sucks that it took this to get here, but we're here. Lastly, but not leastly, they have also added a randomize button. I personally see no use for this randomize button. However, people have said that they love it. So maybe you're a randomized person. Maybe you really love this button. Maybe you can click it for hours instead of ship spinning. It's there. Have fun with it. Enjoy. Oh, lastly, I forgot to add as well. CCP is adding another skill to the game. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. There's another skill. It does the same thing as 4 other skills in the game, which is reduce the plex fee for listing skins. So I think now you can get it to 0, which is appropriate and good. And it is basically the way skindustrialists can actually make money and have their skins not be immediately copied because they've invested a whole lot of SP, like holy crap, a whole lot of SP at this point, into reducing this fee. So yeah, I just wish we didn't have 5 skills for the same thing now. It should be like 1 skill, and it can have a long training time, but it can be like 4% per level. Like, sure, that's fine. I don't know why we need to get like 1% for it's dumb. All right, that's enough about Skinner. Let's move on to the corporation project updates. I don't do corporation projects. Whoops. Sorry. So, this is a little bit out of my wheelhouse, but I'll do my best to do it justice for you. What these are is there's getting some updates. You can now make corporation projects with multiple parameters like location, ship types, material types, organization, capsuleers. So what this means is that you could say like I want to kill interceptors from this corp. I want to pay my corp members to kill interceptors from Black Flag, right? And when they do that, they get a payout. So it lets you make cooler, more specific projects, which is cool. It's a good update, right? You can also now set deadlines so your court mates know when they need to get their rears in gears and actually do whatever you want them to do in order to get their rewards. So previous to this, I guess it would just not tell you when the deadline is, and you would just go until it was done, or your corp said we don't need this anymore. So it's good to tell your members through the UI, through the UX, that they need to do what they need to do in a timely fashion. There is also now, I think this is pretty cool, project participation limits. The best case scenario that I've come up with this is that, for instance, you want to give a bonus to the first 20 pilots to get a kill each month for your corporation. And now you can do it without the same one person getting 20 kills the first day of the month and getting all 20 of the rewards. So by having participation limits, you can say a pilot can only claim this once, and that way you can make these like cool incentives that give something to your corp members who are actively going out and PvPing and creating content and doing all that cool stuff. Or maybe you have a really serious rock muncher and you don't want them to just full do everything. Basically, it makes things more fun for the more casual people and not the turbo nerds who would just do everything themselves. And that's pretty much it for the project update. All right. We've made it to the miscellaneous stuff. You know it, you love it. First and foremost, daily login rewards. So, Revenant starts now, and there's going to be daily login rewards until November 26th. There's going to be able to get expert systems for the Deathless ships, patterns and nano coatings for the Skinner system, 450,000 skill points, 10,000 Evermarks, and boosters. So, log in every day, get some cool stuff. It's a way to help celebrate the new expansion. There is also a new show info window that looks more fancy, so people will surely complain that their game looks slightly nicer at the cost of their sweet, sweet frames. I like it. I think it looks cool. I have a good enough computer that I can use it and not complain. But, anytime the game looks better, anytime the game updates, people are going to be like, I hate this. And so we'll see how long those people complain. They also, this is actually a really big point, they've made stronger mutaplasmids that use an item that you can now get from reprocessing bricked mutaplasmids. So you go ahead and roll your dice, roll your muta, figure out that you've ruined your favorite item. You can now reprocess it into muta dust. I don't know exactly what it's called, but you can use this muta dust in new mutaplasmids, which can be found in things like abyssals. This is going to be very interesting and strange because it's another level higher on the mutaplasmids, which could already make certain modules and ships kind of crazy. So we're just getting a little bit crazier here. This also comes a little bit after the introduction of a lot of more new officer modules. So the general power ceiling that any individual ship can be at is just going higher and higher and higher. So we'll see if this is a good thing. Sure, why not? It can be a good thing, and it does allow us finally something to do with all of those bricked mutaplasmid modules that were just sitting in a hangar. I know a lot of you guys have hangars full of stupid modules that did nothing, and now they do something, so that's cool. Moving right along, let's talk about ships that are getting nerfed. First, all buffer marauders. Second, the Vargar. Thank goodness. We finally get a Vargar nerf. Is it enough? We'll have to see. It may be, it may not be. Basically, the main thing is that they are reducing its fall-off range, which is going to, in essence, reduce its damage at all levels because it always is fighting in fall-off range. So Vargar's going to be doing less damage, which is probably pretty cool. We'll see if it's enough. Hopefully it's not always send in the Vargars now, at least for a little while. We also got nerfs hitting the Execure Navy issue. Very nice cruiser, which was far too often seen, and now it is going to be a little bit less powerful, so that's good. And also the Cyclone Fleet issue, which again is just a really good battle cruiser, and so we want to see a little bit less of these in the world, and so we see these nerfs, and I definitely agree with all of these nerfs. Ships that are buffed is going to be the Absolution, the Myrmidon Navy issue, the Harbinger Navy issue, and the Stabber Fleet issue. And it's like, Okay, sure, whatever, and that's a nice buff for them. I kind of think that these ships all still suck, but what can you do? Hopefully the buff helps them. Hopefully we see them. I don't really care for them, so we'll see what happens with them. For a new quality of life thing that people have really been asking for a long time, myself included, is that they have updated the icons for some confusing stuff. For instance, damage mods. We all know that all the stupid damage mods look the same, and if you don't know what the name is, if you don't know what a gyro stabilizer weapon system is for, then get fucked, nerd, because it looks the same as a heat sink. We now have icons that look a little bit nicer and a little bit more representative of what system they go to. Next on the list is drone lands getting relic sites. What the fuck? I, as a big exploration person, don't actually agree with this. So we're going to see what they actually are. They didn't give really any more information. We don't know what their loot table is going to be like. It's going to be content. We're going to go figure it out live on stream. Watch us on stream every Monday and Wednesday starting around 2300 Eve time for about 4 to 5 hours, where we'll figure this stuff out. But there are now relic sites and drone lands. I don't think they needed relic sites and drone lands because drone lands was arguably already the best place to go exploring in, because they get the covert ghost sites in their like small little combat circles. It's very easy to find them and very easy to do them, and they're worth a whole lot of money. So we'll see. Drone lands, a really good place to explore now, and we're going to figure out what these new relic sites have inside them. Lastly, for the miscellaneous, is that the Pochvin flashpoints are updated in a bunch of different ways that I don't fully understand because I've never ran a flashpoint, but it seems like a little bit of a nerf to them and also a little bit of quality of life. So, like things like seagullers and stuff can not annoy you as much. Hopefully, the Pochvin crowd likes this update. And that's all we got for you today. Hopefully, you're ready and excited for this expansion. Is it a good expansion? I'm so glad you asked. And my answer is no. Hopefully everything works well, specifically like the mercenary dens. But like, what are we like really getting? So I don't know. A nothing burger. New ships are cool. But yeah, that's what we got for you. If you are interested in a lot of cool, different stuff, go check out this video where we teach you a whole lot of good, interesting tech. And if you already know all that cool stuff, then go ahead and watch whatever this video is because the internet thinks you really like this video. So, check it out. All right, O7 fly. Interestingly, I will see you guys out in those new Tholoses and Cenotaphs. I'll be flying them